Why don't we get started, and people come in a little bit later, they can join in and catch up. So thank you all for making it out. 8:30. Some of us are already in bed. Hopefully everyone's had a good start to the term and good New Year's. This is just sort of our first hello and welcome back. Talk about some of the background behind the club for those who might be completely new, and talk about what we did last year or last term, what we're planning to do this semester, and then see if you guys have anything you want to see us do specifically. And then Jesse has a little bit of a presentation on Duke of Ed at the end for any of you who are interested in sticking around. So before we get into our actual presentation, a good chunk of our exec are on today. So I think we'll just have everyone go around and introduce themselves and say how they're involved with the Outdoor Club. So my name is Noah. I'm the president of the Outdoor Club this year. I've been around for quite a while. I did my undergrad at Mac, and I'm here still doing my master's. So this is my 7th year with the Outdoor Club. And yeah, does anyone else want to take it away?
My name's Jessie. I am the Vice President External this year from McMaster Outdoor Club. I'm in my 4th year of music cognition, so this is my 4th year a part of the club. Hannah's already unmuted, so I think she should go.
Call that.
My name's Hannah. I'm one of the trip coordinators for the Outdoor Club, and I'm in my 2nd year of astrophysics at McMaster.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie. I am the environmental coordinator for the Outdoor Club, and I'm also in my 4th year of environmental science. So,
hello, my name is Gabrielle. I am the gear coordinator this year. I'm in my 2nd year in the arts and science program, and this is my 1st year with the club.
Hi everybody, I'm Stephanie. I'm the first aid coordinator for the Outdoor Club. This is my 3rd year with the health sciences program.
Oh, Brian's without a mic today, but he's still introducing in the chat. Brian is one of our other VPs, handles a lot of our internal roles, managing our trip coordinators and gear coordinators and the likes, and also Whitewater when things were still in person. So Brian is a 4th year-ish automations BTech. A few other exec.
So Belvina is apparently also having mic issues. So Belvina is also on our executive team, and she is one of our social chairs. She is in her 5th year of kinesiology.
Hello. My name is Roa. I am one of the social coordinators, and this is my 2nd year of health science and my 1st year with the Outdoor Club.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm in my 4th year of Health and Society and Aging and Society, and I'm one of the social media coordinators. So I've been running the Hike of the Week post last semester and the events and stuff like that.
So as you can see, we have new and old exec. There's no requirement of any prior experience to join the Outdoor Club, either as just a general member or as an executive. The only ones that require any prior experience are the VPs and the president. So we're always looking for more people to get involved if you're ever interested. So let's get into things. We have a short PowerPoint presentation. And if you have any questions as we go, feel free to just blurt them out, or if you feel more comfortable, you can put it in the chat and one of our exec will answer. So just before we start things off, the Outdoor Club does have a couple sponsorships with Parks Canada and Adventure Attic, which is a local outdoor equipment store in Dundas, kind of like a Mech, but an independent mom and pop shop. So I encourage you to check them out, support local business. So we like to start everything off with a land acknowledgement because it's quite important in today's day and age. So McMaster University recognizes and acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Obviously, that's just for Hamilton. The Outdoor Club goes to a lot of different areas, which cover a lot of different Indigenous tribes and treaty areas, and we try to understand and respect the land wherever we go. So who are we? We fall under McMaster Athletics and Recreation since about the late 90s. So it means we're not part of the MSU, which a lot of people get confused about because we're still a student club. So we're an Ath and Rec club, which gives us a lot of freedoms to run a lot of the trips we normally do. The MSU can just be a little restrictive at times. But the Outdoor Club has a much lengthier history going back to about the mid-60s. We don't really have an official start date that anyone can pin down, but that's our ballpark estimate. And this year we have a 14-member executive team, so you met most of them. The others couldn't make it out tonight, but they're always available for questions. So in a normal year, we travel all over the place, not to get people excited, but with COVID, obviously, that's not the case this year, and we won't be running any in-person activities this term either, unfortunately. But in the past, we've been to over 200 locations, so quite a few, all across Canada and the US, and we've also made it down to Costa Rica twice. So you can see in Canada, obviously a lot centered around Ontario and Quebec, but we also make it out to Alberta and BC quite often. And we did manage to, a couple years ago, couple meaning around 2010, make it out to Nunavut, so on Baffin Island. They did a backpacking trip across there. We've made it to some cool locations like Texas and the Grand Bend, or the Rio Grande, and Hawaii and Florida, and the Grand Canyon is one of our most popular trips. That happens every other year pre-COVID times. So in a normal year, like I was saying, we'd run a ton of awesome trips, both local and sort of abroad and within Canada. We try to run a trip a week at least, as well as a variety of socials to go alongside those. We partner with Nature McMaster for the Sunday Hike Series, which has also been put on pause because of COVID, and run our Sunday pool sessions, which Brian is our champion of. Our environmental team working with Nature McMaster also typically runs a weekly cleanup hike series that are normally in connection with the Student Wellness Center's Walk in Nature series, so the WIN hikes. And we have a gear lending program, which has also been put on hold due to COVID. So we have a lot of resources for both maps and outdoor equipment that is available for the McMaster community to rent out. So if you don't have your own equipment, you're welcome to use ours, as well as a variety of outdoor resources like maps and just the knowledge of the actual executive team, as well as running various trainings such as WAFA or Leave No Trace or ORCA and things like that. So last term, we were also virtual, as we are this term, and we ran a series of outdoor skills workshops and bringing in unique speakers. All of those were recorded and are on our YouTube channel if you're interested in checking them out. We had some really cool people come in and talk about some really cool outdoor skills and just people in the outdoors, as well as continuing Emily's Hike of the Week highlights and panel discussions We had a number of outdoor challenges and a few photo competitions and a scavenger hunt, as well as running office hours where we helped you plan out your own trips. I think with the updated restrictions, people probably aren't going out this winter, but if you are and you need help, please feel free to reach out to us, because we love seeing people go out on their own trips and making them happen. So this term, things are going to be pretty similar to last term, but also a little bit different. So we're going to continue with our outdoor speaker series, but try to bring you some more highlights. So we have a couple of speakers that are in the works to be lined up. So we're going to average about 2 speakers a month, and then continue our monthly virtual social series as well. Our hike of the weeks, like I mentioned, are continuing with Emily on our Instagram page. If you have any suggestions or want to submit your own hikes, you are more than welcome to, and you can either submit them to our email or to our Instagram page to get highlighted. Planning some cool panel discussions and continuing our outdoor photo contest. I don't know if any of you submitted photos to our winter break photo contest, but those winners will be announced next week. As well as many of our speakers will be alumni to both McMaster and the Outdoor Club. So trying to see where our members are today and how the Outdoor Club helped get them there. Our environmental coordinator, Maddie, will be running an environmental speaker series throughout the term. So probably 1 or 2 big keynote speakers, as well as an environmental book club that will be meeting about twice a month, going over specific chapters in the book. The book will be Braiding Sweet Gas by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And the first Zoom meeting will be on January 21st. Don't worry if you don't have time to come out to all of them. You don't need to. You'll be able to go to each one independently. So whatever you have time for. It's a really great book. I suggest you all check it out. And if you do have questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. The Zoom links for that will be the same as this meeting, but we will be posting those as well. And we just like to highlight to everyone that most importantly, we're here as a resource. Our executive team and other members of the athletic department have a wealth of knowledge over the years about different places they've been in the world, and different methods of planning trips or gear inquiries. If you're looking to buy your own equipment or anything like that, we are here to help. So if any question, big or small, feel free to reach out to us. So 2 of our upcoming speakers, the dates have not been nailed down yet, but we just like to highlight them, are Laura King and Maya March, both MAC alumni and Outdoor Club alumni. They both do some really cool things. So Laura is the president of Nature Newfoundland, which is kind of like Ontario Nature here in Ontario, so an NGO, and she works for Environment and Climate Change Canada as a wildlife toxicologist, and was also one of the awards recipients for the Canada New NOAA Award, which sends you to the Indian Ocean to study endangered species. And then Maya is a site manager and director for Parks Canada. So previously she was at Tuktoyaknugayat National Park in the Northwest Territories, but right now she's stationed in Georgian Bay Islands. So they're both going to tell us about the work they do and sort of how they got there from their time at McMaster, and any suggestions for people interested in those fields. We have a number of other speakers we're working on. There's specific people you're interested in or topics you'd like to cover, then please reach out to us so we can highlight those for you guys. So we'll be getting into this a little bit more at the end of our talk, but the Duke of Ed is an awesome award that is internationally recognized and internationally run, but there's a Canadian chapter, and more specifically, a McMaster chapter. Has 3 different award levels, which we'll be going into detail later, but if you get gold, member of the royal family awards it to you. So that's kind of cool. But it's a lot easier to get than most people realize. And if you're a fairly active and outdoorsy person, you can often get it just by doing normal everyday activities. Jessie, our VP, runs the program here at McMaster, and her email's here if you guys do have other questions or want to sign up for the award. So just about how to get involved with the Outdoor Club, these are some of our social media information and email. When hopefully things do reopen, our office is located in the basement of DBAC. It's connected to the Mindfulness Center. So if you don't know where B108 is, it's right beside the Mindfulness Center, right by those old squash courts that are part of IWC. And we're always looking for leaders to get involved as well. Normally, leaders would help plan and run our trips for us, but in this online environment, we're also looking for other people who aren't exec, but we would call them virtual leaders to help run events, research virtual hikes for people, and other things like that. So if you are interested in getting more involved, feel free to reach out to us. So these are just a couple of forms. You don't need to fill these out. You can also just reach out to us by email. That works as well. For this term, becoming a member is free, as well as it was last year, because things are virtual. So anyone can be a member and get on our mailing list. But in a normal year, we'd have a $35 membership that's bought at the DBAC business office, and it gets you a whole bunch of cool perks that you can check out on our website. But they include discounts to Adventure Attic and Dundas, free access to some of our workshops and pool sessions, and other cool things like that. So we just like to highlight some of our other MAC partners. So the McMaster Climbing Club, who's also operating virtually this year, is a really close partner with us. They also fall under Club of Athletics and Recreation. And so they handle all the climbing aspects, and a lot of them work for altitude at the Alpine Climbing Tower and also the indoor climbing wall at McMaster. When things do reopen, I highly encourage you check that out. An outdoor club membership, if you guys are graduate students, also gets you access to the MAC climbing wall. If you're undergrad, it's already included in your Pulse membership. And Nature at McMaster is also a really great organization. It's run jointly through Athens Rec and the Office of the President. So they run hike series. They have their own website that talks about all the cool environmental hikes and initiatives in the Hamilton area. So I really encourage you to check that out if you're looking for ways to get active and where to get active in Hamilton. So we're going to end and get out of this presentation for a minute and just have like a little chat with you guys, see what are your expectations from us for the term. If there's anything in particular that you guys have, any kind of burning questions or topics or workshops you'd like to see covered, any kind of big speakers you know of that you might like to see us bring in, or anything like that. So I'm going to end the presentation quickly, but you guys can stay on and we'll have a short little conversation. And then after we've answered your guys' questions and taken some notes, Jessie is going to take it away for our Duke of Ed presentation. So I know that was like a lot of information just thrown at people, but from what was covered, does anyone have any burning questions for us or topics they'd like to see covered, or any kind of speakers or anything like that, big or small? Don't be afraid. Or just general outdoor questions are welcome as well.
Questions about life or about Mac are also fair.
Did you say math or Mac?
Mac.
Okay, good.
Don't ask about math. So yeah, I did not hear math at first. Oh, okay, goodbye, sorry.
So Francis,
We have a number of unofficial club mascot cats as well through Jesse and Brian.
Yes. They want to hear more about trips. So something we could do is I could actually open up our Google Photos and I could show some photos from some of our trips.
Yeah, we can do that for a few minutes. We got lots of time.
Give me a hot sec to open that up. There's so many Google accounts that I have on my computer.
We can also plan some future events where we simply have some of our leaders that have gone on and participants that have gone on big trips and just kind of do a little slideshow for people.
So this is the trip that I was on. I don't know if there's that many photos of it, but this was, oh, that's it. There definitely were more and I don't know where they are. That was the Algonquin canoe trip. We were in DBAC. Okay, let me do Bruce Penn backpacking. This is a good one. So Bruce Peninsula National Park is not far from here. I mean, it's like
about 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Yes, that's like the closest one though. To where we are.
The closest national park, yeah.
Yeah. So this is Bruce Peninsula National Park. You normally do a fall backpacking trip there, as you can see the pretty leaves. And it's gorgeous, obviously, as you can see. This is by Tobermory, isn't it?
This is in, yeah, it's in Tobermory.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because this is right by the grotto.
This is the grotto, the photos of.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous. Yeah, there's the grotto. There we go. The waves were really high when they were there. I don't think I've ever been there when the waves were that high.
Yeah, it depends on the year. Sometimes it can be rough.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why it kind of tripped me up because I wasn't used to the waves being that high. Like I've literally never seen the water like that.
So it's a backpacking trip. Like Jesse said, we run it every reading week in the fall. So if you are still going to be around at McMaster the next couple of years, I'm sure COVID will be over soon. So definitely look out for that because it's a trip that we run no matter what every year. Takes about 12 people, if I remember correctly, that go on the trip. So we have 2 leaders and 10 participants. But it's a really cool trip. It's 4 days, so it's a really nice time. You get to explore the area. And the fall colors are beautiful there.
Yeah, they're stunning. Another really cool one that we've done in the past that Noah was on and Emily was on was Hawaii. I wasn't on that trip. Noah, do you want to talk about it?
So we've only done it once and we tried to run it right when COVID started for a second time, but we're shut down. So in 2018, we went to Hawaii. So we went to the island of Kauai, which is the northernmost island in the chain. If you're interested, it's actually also the cheapest island to camp and backpack on, which is why we chose it. So if you're looking to plan your own trip, I suggest checking that out. It is also one of the smaller islands. So we actually went there right after a really big storm that they have that essentially washed the island away, is what we like to say. So there's only one main road on the whole island that goes in a big sea, and the northern part washed away. So we were supposed to be hiking the Kalalau Trail, which is a really famous trail on the north side of the island, but it was closed due to washing away from the storm and the road washing away and basically isolating the town there. So we had to totally redesign it with like a week before our plane was set to depart. But we saved it. We were camping on the beach for half the trip and camping in the mountains. I don't think there's mountains, but there are mountains in Hawaii for the other half. And it was a really awesome trip. We got to go on a boat tour, see some canyons, see sea turtles and dolphins, and go snorkeling and everything else you can possibly imagine. Camping on the beach is really cool and also really cheap. So I suggest checking that out. Anyone has any specific questions related to that, by all means, ask away. But it was really beautiful, and I would encourage anyone who has the opportunity to make it out there. I don't know if Emily has anything to add to that.
I think you covered everything. Yeah, it was not what we were expecting, but still really fun. We also had to, we tried to do one hike, and then the river was really high, like up to our hips. So
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed that first image that Jesse pulled up, but
yeah,
the very first one at the very top, Jesse.
Yeah,
oh, that was nothing compared to.
Yeah, that one's not bad at all. It's, where is it? This one here. So like you can see this guy, he's like fully submerged up to his butt.
So this was the backup hike we planned for our backpacking portion. And because our original one got canceled, and this was after our, I think, 4th river crossing. We got to this section, and there was another river crossing afterwards, and it just got to be too high. So safety first, and our group did have to cancel this particular hiking section. But we did go on a lot of other really cool hikes, and I don't know if you can scroll down to some of the pictures of the mud people got on them, but it is so muddy, but also so much fun at the same time. Somewhere there's some really funny pictures of people having mud like all the way up to their back.
I've literally never seen these photos that you're talking about. I don't know if they're in here. They're not. But like, here's one of the canyons you're talking about.
So on Kauai, they call it the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. And if you've been and seen photos of the Grand Canyon and you look at them side by side, they actually do look pretty similar.
Absolutely stunning. Look at that. Oh, the
so
Red
half
Canyon?
the island is really lush and green. And then on the other side, it's like very red clay, almost desert-like. Yeah, right there. So it's like a really stark contrast in environments. Yeah, there.
Should we show Rockies?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back. Here we go. I love that picture. That's such a cute picture. Okay, skim through all of the city because we don't care about Calgary.
So we go to the Canadian section of the Rockies in Alberta normally, though we have went to, it's not the Rockies anymore, but mountain ranges in BC as well. But it's really beautiful as well. We normally stick around the Banff Jasper area, but we have explored some of the national parks around that area as well. So it's really cool. And we normally run this trip in May, right at the end of classes. It runs roughly every other year, but it's a really great trip as well. And there is a lot of snow in the mountain hikes, even at that time of year. So we're normally stuck to hiking sort of lower down. You can't do the high mountain peak hikes. Otherwise you need like crazy snowshoes, even in like the middle of May.
Yeah, like even here you can see that the lake is almost entirely so frozen over.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And they've went river rafting and whitewater kayaking and things depending on the year as well. Every year we try to, that we run a trip, even if we're going to the same location, we try to do something that's a little bit different.
And then normally this time of year, we would actually be getting ready for some of our winter trips because we do in fact go camping in the winter. Hannah, she left, but she's one of our other exec members. This is me and her last year in February. That is a terrible photo of me, but it's fine.
Right it before was COVID.
Literally right before COVID. Trip. It was like, yeah, I was only home for like a week and a half before I left again because of COVID. But we do winter trips, which can be super, super fun. Obviously cold is obviously a different type of camping if you're not super used to it. So It takes a bit of practice, but it is also a lot of fun. We didn't take a lot of photos because we were so cold, like 98% of the time, but
There
it was
should be
really
another
gorgeous.
year on there that has
It's
some
right
more
beside
photos.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were cold, Noah. It was really cold. We had like extreme cold warnings, but we were fine. Here we go. Yeah, see, they had so much warmer. They had like no snow. They got moving water.
Beaver dams, and yeah, that was the beaver dam I was talking about when I was like, you're gonna cross a beaver dam.
Never saw it. It was so covered in snow. Couldn't tell you where it was. Literally could not tell you.
But this one was the Queen Elizabeth Wildlands. It's not that far away.
No, it's also really gorgeous for paddling. We like McMaster's never done paddling there, but I did a personal trip there in October, and it was absolutely spectacular. I will say though, the portages in this park suck because it's an
this park used
park.
to be what they call Crown Land, and only very recently it was incorporated, like in the past 10 years, as a provincial park, and only in the last 2 years has it become an operational park. So they're working to get it fully operational, and eventually you'll have to pay to visit and actually like sign up and buy your sites ahead of time.
So Frances said thank you, so I'm assuming she's leaving, which is cool. Is Bianca still here, or are we just talking? Oh, hi, Bianca. We're still okay. Good. I just want to make sure we weren't talking to ourselves.
I was just saying thank you because Madeline was like sticking an eye out for like office planning hours. I was like talking about how I was
amazing
Monday. So yeah, don't worry, I'm not leaving yet.
What's another one of my favorite ones that we've done? Oh, Grand Canyon. How have I not shown Grand Canyon yet?
Okay, I don't know how many trips.
This is the Grand Canyon trip that I'm still angry about. I was supposed to be going on this trip, and then I got a severe concussion in November of 2018. So all of my exams got postponed to reading week 2019, and then I could not go. And then I was going to go this past year when we were supposed, this year, because this was another Grand Canyon year, so we're supposed to run it again, and of course COVID hit. So the world does not want me to go to Grand Canyon.
This photo, as you can see, we all have giant blue bags. So those are IKEA bags. For anyone that does any traveling and you need a pack cover for your hiking pack when you're checking it in the airport, if you are checking it, don't pay the like $100 for a pack cover. Just go buy yourself a $4 IKEA duffel bag. They're $4 and they are the perfect size to fit a 70-liter hiking pack in, fully packed. So we decked ourselves out with them, and airport security loved us because they were like, wow, you're that group. They were like, wow, you're that group. And they just like moved us along.
What, they mean the super cool group?
They would like see one and be like, that's weird. And then they'd see like 10 more bags and be like, oh, I guess they're all together.
But yeah, absolutely stunning trip. It's kind of, I would say Grand Canyon is probably like our most famous, like.
It's our most well-known and famous trip because we run it every other year. So people really look forward to it and it fills up really quickly. The year this ran, as you can see, there's lots of snow. So it does run in February, but this is actually atypical. So there's not normally snow because it's kind of the desert. So occasionally they get a light dusting, but this was the most amount of snow they've had in 100 years. So like roads were closed. People in Arizona do not know how to drive in the snow, let me tell you. They have like 2 snow plows for the whole state. It's crazy, but that was a really cool time.
So this is a significantly older one. In fact, I doubt we're going to know any, actually no one might know a couple people in these photos. But
so Maya, who will be one of our speakers, is in one of these photos.
There's a group one. You know which one?
She's not in this one, but normally in Grand Canyon, we run 2 or 3 groups. So it's between 22 and 33 people that end up going. So it's a bit larger. And then we split off into 3 different groups that go to 3 different areas.
Vegas.
Yes, we do fly into Vegas and spend our first night and our last night in Vegas just for,
Funsies.
well, that, and it's just easier for planning.
No, and I have
Because
different.
it's a far drive from Vegas to the Grand Canyon, but it's a lot cheaper to fly into Vegas than it is to fly into Phoenix or Flagstaff or something like that.
Yeah. So this is Costa Rica. No, were you on that trip?
Nope.
Okay, so we don't know anyone who was on this trip, but Who?
Krepesh.
I don't know him.
Oh.
He's on my
I
very
guess I've
first
been
trip.
around longer than I thought.
He's on my
Look at
very
that
first trip in
sloth.
first year. Oh.
So yeah, Costa Rica, I wish I was there. It looks amazing. Looks
So
like
this
so much
trip
fun.
ran twice. It ran in 2012, I believe, and 2014.
Yeah,
so
so
they
this is the
went on a
2014
bunch
ones.
of tours and went to a couple national parks down there. Lots of camping and
Lots of wildlife. Ooh, okay, I don't like birds. No.
you don't like birds?
I'm scared of birds. I'm terrified of birds.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of birds. Birds are so scary and they were demonic. They will kill you. So yeah, Francis just asked Arizona has snow. So like Noah said, like not normally, but also
They
when you get
do
to like the
have
higher,
a ski hill
that's
near
true.
Flagstaff. I will
Once
give
you
them
get
that.
to like the higher elevations, there's always going to be some snow. But yeah, they were definitely confused.
So normally they do like getting snow in the winter is not unusual for Arizona, but normally it's only in the higher elevations, and they'll get like a dusting, like maybe a couple of centimeters. But the year we went in 2019 or 2018, I don't remember now, 2019, I think, there was like feet of snow, and so they actually closed the road, and we had to at the last minute, like when we were checking in, change our route because the road to get to our trailhead was closed because of all the snow and the fact that they don't have snowplows, which is hilarious. But there's always something. No trip runs perfectly.
That's true.
But you make the best of it.
So
lots of cross country skiing and dog sledding before.
This is a trip we used to do every year. We used to do dog sledding every year, but we can't anymore, unfortunately. It was with a company called Chalkpaw that has since closed. But really fun. I didn't do dog sledding with the outdoor club, but I did go on a 9-day dog sledding trip with the same company when I was in high school, and it was absolutely amazing. It was so much fun. The dogs are like the cutest thing ever, and they're so sweet. They just want love at all times, and I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, and it's super, super fun. So we have yet to find a new supplier for us to be able to go dog sledding with, but if you ever do get the opportunity to go dog sledding, I highly, highly recommend it. It is a really cool experience.
And it's a true Canadian heritage activity.
Yeah. And the dogs, it's fun too, because the dogs just like absolutely love what they do. Like they get so excited to go sledding, which is super fun if you like dogs. It's also like the smelliest type of camping, I think. I came out of that trip, I smelled so bad. Ooh, it was rough. I don't know if there's any other. Oh, Adirondacks, I guess we could go over.
Yep, that's a great one.
The classic one.
So the Adirondacks is also a trip that came about in 2014, 2015. And then it's been running every year since. So it's normally very leader heavy because it's a more advanced trip in the Adirondack mountain range in New York. So we basically go and hike a bunch of the peaks there, and you sleep outdoors, and it's a really awesome time. You can have crazy weather or perfect weather. Brian can attest that all the years he's went, you can't see anything at the peaks, and he's very upset about it because it's just fog. But if you have a clear day, you get amazing views.
And the fall colors are like spectacular too. Let's see if I can get one where they're high up. Or here, this is really cool. So I remember Brian talking about this, saying this was like this most slippery thing he's ever had to cross in his entire life because it's like covered in snow and then there's water going underneath. So the water's like splashing up and causing it to get covered in ice as well. Because the weather there can be kind of psycho, like Noah said. Oh, there's Brian. Brian. Aw.
So a lot of the trips we run, we either run every other year or every year. And then there's some of our like more exclusive trips, if you will, like Hawaii or Costa Rica are kind of the more expensive trips that don't run so often, or things like our Baffin Island backpacking that only ran once. But we also try to run like a new trip to a new location every year. So we're always looking for ideas. If there's some place that you really want to go, I encourage you to reach out to us to try and make it happen because we're always looking for new places.
This is an example from like a previous year where Brian wasn't on the trip, so they had good weather, where you can actually see off the peaks and you can kind of see how high up they are, which is super cool. That's basically it for the photos. We don't really have any other exciting trips to go over, I don't think.
There's lots of other smaller trips.
Yeah, there's like Hamilton, like local Hamilton backpacking and stuff that we do. We do Algonquin canoeing, like I said.
French River and...
Yeah, French River. Algonquin, always fun.
Oh, you'll see me in this one without a beard, Jesse.
No way, where?
That one, click on that photo. With
You
are
are not in this photo.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Wait, where's the zoom button? Oh, no, go back.
So that's with a lot of Dutch students. We get a lot of Dutch international students.
You look like 16, like top.
So for those of you who did the Moose program, there's also the Moose Exchange program, which I'm sure you guys heard about. And so before the Moose Exchange program, the Outdoor Club used to run the Algonquin trip for exchange students during the school year. And so this would have been one of the trips pre-Moose Exchange being a thing. So we had about 120 people out there on Algonquin.
I can't get over Noah without a beard. My brain can't process it.
We also go to other places like French River. We've been to Point Pelee. We've been to Thousand Islands, the Pinery and McGregor provincial parks.
Oh, I love McGregor.
Where is McGregor?
No, I said I love McGregor.
Oh, I love McGregor.
Killarney is also super beautiful. That was my
Killarney. We go both in the winter and the summer and the fall.
Yeah.
So we've done camping, hiking, backpacking, and canoeing. All at Killarney. There's lots to do there.
Mm-hmm.
Killarney is my favorite park by far. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is.
So this was our Killarney Yurts winter trip. So this was the last trip the Outdoor Club
before COVID, yeah.
Before COVID. The yurts there are really nice.
Yeah, they are.
Like
they're so nice.
Version of winter camping because they're nice and heated, but you still get the outdoor winter hike experience.
So that's Killarney in the winter. Oh, that's the Crack, isn't it? Yeah. And then Killarney Canoe 2013. This would be fall, I think, or summer. This is fall. Summer?
I see.
Are there any?
Why are they dressed so warm?
There were some really gorgeous photos from like the 2017 fall trip. I don't know if that's on there, but we had like one of the
in Killarney?
Yeah. I don't know if he was I can never remember all the Danish or Dutch or something. I think he was from Denmark, so he's Danish. So there was this one exchange student who was a really good photographer.
I have it.
Oh man.
Send us some photos so we can use them for marketing.
Okay, well I have some of them. I can like show some of the ones that I have.
Yeah.
But you can also see, we don't really have very many photos, but we've been down to Kentucky, as well as a number of other places in the US. We've gone to Quebec a few times. We used to run like Montreal and Quebec City and Ottawa trips.
Yes, this is Quebec.
One area we haven't really explored that much of Canada is the East Coast, because it actually is really expensive compared to even the West Coast. You know, the West Coast gets kind of the expensive vibe to it, but for traveling in large groups, it's actually normally cheaper because transportation is a little bit easier. The transportation network and rentals and stuff in the East Coast just isn't as developed because they have a smaller population.
My dream is a trip in the East Coast, in Newfoundland. That's where I really want to go, but it's expensive, as Noah said. So that's kind of the situation.
I'm gonna take over, do a few photos from Killarney,
Yeah.
and then I think Bianca said something about Carnival.
Yes, Bianca, we did used to do that quite frequently, actually. They would do a Quebec trip where they would go to the Winter Carnival. Yeah.
Okay, so there's this one. So the Killarney trip that I went on, it was like really, really warm for September. So we were sleeping out on the rocks, and the perfect night for stars and stuff. We also had, is it gonna go? So this was at the top of the Silver Peak. So this is like the whole crew. Half of them were like exchange students, so it made a very interesting trip for all of us to have chats and conversations. This is the hike up to the Silver Peak. All of us. This was that morning we woke up on the rocks. That was a sunrise. That night, the stars, like this is why we slept under the stars. It was just unreal. Like that's my background photo since first year.
Yeah, the stars there are unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life.
Seriously,
They're
and
insane.
the fact that he caught this stuff on camera was just unreal. That's the top.
Yeah.
And this is the hike down. There's sort of like two different, like you go up and down and then up and down when you're going there. I think, yeah, this is another up. But yeah, it's a really cool.
I gotta be honest, I've done both Silver Peak and the Crack, and I know Silver Peak is way higher, but I preferred the Crack. I thought it was more fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't even done the Crack yet. I really want to though. And yeah,
like, it's not as high up, but I feel like it's a more difficult trail.
I'm sure. Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah, Silver Peak's hard.
This was that night. So the night before we had like a lightning storm, and like the next morning it was super foggy. You couldn't even tell the difference between water and sky. That's not the trip. That's a different. Okay, these are different photos. This is a lunch on the Crack, and that's about it. I think that's all the photos I have. Yeah. Stop sharing.
But basically, we go a lot of really cool places, and you often meet a lot of really cool people because probably 60 to 70% of our participants are normally exchange students. So you get to meet people from all over the world when you go on these trips, which is really cool. We do have a map on our website that you can like zoom in and see where we've been. If people are interested in checking that out, but we are always looking for new places. So big or small. For a while in the works, there was an Iceland trip, but it never ended up getting off the ground. But that's always an area the club has been interested in visiting.
It could totally be done.
But we really have no limits. We can pretty much go to any country that doesn't have civil unrest.
Okay. I think you're muted, Jesse.
I said, speaking from experience, flights to Iceland are actually really cheap, or at least they were when, what was it? There was this airline that was like the cheapest airline ever, and it was so cheap that it went bankrupt. It actually went bankrupt 2 days after I returned on my flight from Ireland on the same airline, and they tracked people all around the world. So I just barely got home. But all in all, flights to Iceland are pretty cheap. But the Reykjavik airport, nothing is there. Bring food with you. You will not be able to get anything. This is the map Noah was talking about, though. As you can see. Whee!
So it just has pins on some of the places we've been. You can see the places in New York and some of the other states. If people are interested in seeing kind of where we went and what were some of the like key attractions we visited. So those are just some of the major cities the club visited while they were in Nunavut.
which a dream, honestly.
Apparently, it was an amazing trip. It was before
Yeah.
my time. I think it was in 2010 or 2011.
I don't know that we could convince the insurance to allow us to do that again.
We're still allowed to do it.
Didn't somebody almost die?
Okay.
There is a CBC article, if people Google it, based on that trip and someone getting washed downstream, but I promise you that is not the norm for our trips.
No, it's not. We're very safe.
Safety is key. But
In fact,
things do happen, which is why we have everyone has first aid and wilderness advanced first aid, and we have inReaches and maps and all kinds of stuff. So people don't need to be concerned. And we have trips of all ability levels, from the most beginner to the most advanced.
The trip that I was talking about earlier that Hannah and I were on, that it was just absolutely freezing. Like, it was below -30 at night when we were trying to sleep. We went with an inReach because we knew that we might have like very, very cold temperatures, and just to be safe, Noah sent us with like an emergency response tool, the inReach, so that if we did have an issue and like we needed to get out in the middle of the night, we could. So yeah, we are always safe. And Maddie, one time Maddie and I led a trip, and she actually yelled at me because I went swimming in really cold water. So
called out.
Safety first, kids. Lead by example.
Yes. Wow Air. That is the thing. Thank you, Bianca. It is Wow Air. It was not very wow. It was so bad. Worst flight I've ever been on in my life, but it was really cheap because I got to fly to and from Ireland around St. Patrick's Day for $400. So like, yeah. With a layover
cheaper than like
Reykjavik.
flying to the other side of the continent. Like, why is that cheaper than BC?
I know.
That really does make you say, wow.
Yeah, I did have a layover both ways in Reykjavik. The first one was only like an hour, so it was like whatever. But the second one was like, my cousin and I were dumb and we didn't get a hotel for our last night in Ireland, so we slept in the airport. Our flight left at like 6 a.m. and then we also had to sleep the next night in the Reykjavik airport. So,
oh my god,
don't do that. It's a bad idea. Yeah. Francis is not wrong. Francis is very correct by that comment, and I feel attacked. The water wasn't that cold. Like, to be honest, it really wasn't that bad, but like it was cold. We didn't swim on the first day because like it's the first day and we were sleeping out overnight and stuff. But a few of us did jump in the water before we got before we left Algonquin, because we were just at that point getting back on the bus and leaving. So it wasn't like a huge deal.
Like if you caught a chill or something, we had like no time to get back. Like, it was fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was cold by the time we got back to the bus, but we got on the bus, we turned the heat on, and we were fine. So like we wouldn't have done it the day before for sure.
It was such a funny trip.
Yeah, I was also cold because somebody forgot their sleeping bag, so I gave them mine, and I didn't sleep the night before. That was good. That was good times.
That's how it goes. That was a good trip to get to know you. That was like the first trip that I got to know you too. It was the funniest. Like,
I was just like, all right.
Here we go.
You always have a story when you come back from a trip.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Noah. Isn't that the point of going on a trip, to make stories?
Exactly.
Yeah, come on.
A trip is boring if nothing interesting happens.
Exactly. Like, the last trip I went on was with me and my best friend. We were in Queen Elizabeth Wildlands, and we almost tipped in mid-October temperatures when it was really cold and pouring rain. So like,
spooky.
It was bad. I've never paddled in that rough of water before in a canoe. We pulled off, but like it was bad.
My worst was at French River. That was crazy. I went like Labor Day weekend this year. The wind was crazy. We were going upstream. It was just ridiculous. Hardest I've ever paddled.
We like paddled out of the river, and I was like, okay, yeah, the lake looks like a little choppy, but it'll be fine. The second we entered the lake, I was like, no. And we pulled off on an uninhabited island. Like, we were just out of the island.
Like, you really feel like you can handle it, and then you get out there and you're like, oh, okay, we're 3 feet in the air and now we're underwater. We're 3 feet in the air. And
bad. Like, it was like, I've never been so close to tipping in my life.
Anyway, so mock info night.
That was not a mock trip. That was me being dumb. To be fair.
Just thought I'd re-rail us.
Good job, Maddie. I'm proud of you.
If that's something that we can do, or
does anybody have any?
Does anyone have any other questions or want specific trip stories shared? If there's a trip you've heard about that we've done before we let Jesse take it away for the Duke of Ed stuff.
You also, if you want to leave before Duke of Ed, I won't be mad. I get it. Like do Duke of Ed. Duke of Ed is awesome, but like, yeah.
It also sounds like people would be interested in us running just to share your trips night. So we can look at planning that as well.
Yeah, we can do a little expose on Banff for Francis.
No, is there anything to add? Oh, yes, OMG, says Francis.
Sweet. One more thing on our itinerary.
Amazing, I love that.
We're doing this semester. All right, Jesse.
Well,
all
then,
right.
Jesse can take it away for Duke of Ed.
You still have the slides there, Noah?
Yep. I can pull them up.
I'm just lazy. Okay, so the Duke of Edinburgh program, just as Noah pulls us up here, is an awards program that was started by the Duke of Edinburgh. And if you don't know who he is, whoa, okay, there we go. He is the husband of the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II. So it was also started by the guy who actually taught him, oh my God, I can't talk today. Okay, so it was started by the Duke of Edinburgh and Kurt Hahn, who was an experimental educationalist. He was also the teacher of Duke of Edinburgh when he was in school, and then a man named Lord Hunt. It began in 1956 for boys only, but they decided to open the registration for girls 2 years later. I know it seems annoying that they started it just for boys, but the fact that they opened up to girls so earlier on in their inception has actually led them to get a lot of notice for being quite accepting to both genders, both sexes, which is amazing. And in 1963, it came overseas to Canada and is now recognized in over 130 countries worldwide. Basically, any country that is considered to be part of the English Commonwealth probably has Duke of Ed. Go ahead and thank you. So the benefits of Duke of Ed are honestly really, really wide. It's kind of an incredible program. The first thing is it looks incredible on a resume. I've had multiple interviews where I've been asked specifically about Duke of Ed, and I've been told that I got interviews because I have Duke of Ed on my resume. And it's also something that they have alumni all around the world because it is such a big award that likely any large company or any large position you want to get into, somebody there has potentially done Duke of Ed or heard of Duke of Ed. The other thing as well, and Noah already kind of touched on this, is the ceremonies. So if you finish your silver level of the award, it will be granted to you by the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. And then if you finish your gold level of the award, it has to be granted by the Governor General of Canada or a member of the royal family. So I have not had my ceremony yet because of COVID, but my brother did have his ceremony. And when he had his ceremony, he had his award given to him by this lovely gentleman right here. This is Prince Andrew, I believe, Prince Andrew, and he is the fourth son of Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth II and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. Go ahead, Flip.
And he's taken over the award, I believe, right?
Yes, so his dad is old, like really old, and he's too old to really like deal with anything anymore. So, okay, that really might be Edward. Francis might be right. It's either Andrew or Edward. I don't know. I'm really bad at knowing the royal family. I apologize. All I know is the people who play them in the crown. Other than that, I can't help you. I think that actually is Edward. I always make this mistake. Either way, though, he has taken over most of the duties from his father because his father is just too old to really kind of handle it anymore. But it is still called the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. You go ahead, Flip. So the requirements, it kind of depends on which level you're doing. So the requirements kind of build up for each level. So the first level is bronze, then silver, then gold, just like you'd have on a medal podium. Go ahead and flip. So the first thing is service. So each section of the award, you have to complete the four different elements. So the first element is service. Service is really anything that's not for credit or money. So you're not doing it for school, you're not getting paid, and it's something that will support your community. So it can really be anything that you would count as volunteer-based, and it can be any type of volunteering you want. Oftentimes the activities will allow you to kind of build a skill set that you're already working on. Go ahead, Flip. The second element is the skill. So skills are intended to be a time that you can kind of work on building something that you're passionate about. It can be anything you want. In fact, in the original leader's manual, one of the options they gave was architecture appreciation. I don't really know how you build on the skill of architecture appreciation, but it was there. Another one that was there was stamp collecting. So when I say it can be anything, I really mean it can be anything, as long as you have some type of goal to actually grow in it. That's it. The next one is physical recreation. So this is just to encourage you to kind of get more fit and encourage a healthy body, basically. So physical rec does not need to be strenuous. It doesn't need to be something that's insane. As long as you're sweating, even just a little bit, it counts. So for example, I was completing my Duke of Ed in the middle of having a number of health issues, including concussions. So I wasn't really allowed to do sports, but I was allowed to do things like walk my dogs or go hiking or do my physical therapy that was part of my treatment. And all of these things actually did count for physical recreation. Next slide. The next element, this is the last one, is called the adventurous journey. So the adventurous journey is kind of where the outdoor club comes in, and that's why we've kind of absorbed this into our different things that we do. So the adventurous journey is when you go traveling anywhere you want, as long as you are outdoors, and you have to be traveling for at least part of the journey without a motor. So there's always different kind of like requirements depending on how you're traveling. So for example, there's different distance or time requirements for what you'd be doing if you were canoeing versus if you were hiking, if you were on horseback versus if you were on a bicycle. Everything changes depending on the situation, but you do have to spend at least part of the journey traveling by yourself, self-propelling or on a horse, which I know is not really self-propelling, but they count it for some reason. And then you have to write a little bit of a report. Now, when I say report, it's not scary like a school assignment. It's honestly really easy. It takes you a maximum of like 45 minutes, I would say. And then once you're all done, all of that, you submit it to the head office to get award approval. Now for the gold level of the award, can you go to the next slide, Noah? There is an additional thing, and it's called the Gold Project. It has been renamed from the Residential Project. So if you're somebody who's heard about Duke in the past and heard somebody talk about their Res Project, that's what they're talking about here. The name was changed because obviously in Canada that has another meaning, and it was a little bit derogatory and inappropriate to be using it for this. So in Canada, we call it the Gold Project. So the Gold Project is a situation where you can travel anywhere other than where you normally live and participate in any activity you want. That's literally the entire guideline for it, is go somewhere and do something. They don't care what you're doing. They don't care where you go, as long as it's not where you live and not what you necessarily do normally. And they want you to kind of meet new people through the experience. So this can't necessarily be like a family vacation that you would go on with your parents, because the point on that is spending time with your family. That's not the goal here. The goal in this situation is to try something new and meet new people. Next slide. So this kind of gives you an idea of the timeline of how long it takes to complete each level of the award. So bronze level is honestly pretty quick. It only takes 26 weeks, which is, I can't do math, but 6.5 months. Is that right? Roughly?
It's exactly half of 52, so I'm guessing it's probably 6 months, yeah.
It's usually around 6 months. And then from there, you can either choose to start at bronze level and kind of work your way up, or you can start at silver or gold for direct entry. Once you get to, so if you're doing direct entry, it does take a little bit longer to do each of the levels. So silver with no direct entry usually takes between, I think it's usually about like 40 weeks. And then if you add silver, it takes 52. And then gold level, if you do a direct entry, i.e. you haven't done bronze or silver, it takes 78 weeks to complete, which is about 1.5 years. So to register, you can register all online. If you're interested, you can send me an email and I will make sure you have this link. It's really easy to do. You just go online and then you select McMaster. Next slide. You select McMaster University as your award unit, and I am your award leader. There is another person listed there. We don't know how to take her off, but she has not been at Mac in 3 years. So do not select her if you do this. Her name's Natalie. Don't select Natalie. You select me. Next page. Next slide. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, sorry, I do. So the volunteer can be anything. It just can't be like something in school or work.
Yeah, so if it's not a job and it's not classwork, it can count as volunteering.
Oh, okay. And does it have to be related to like the goal that you want to achieve?
No, so like you set an individual goal for kind of like each of your sections. So for example, in volunteering, let's say you were your volunteer position was, let me see, like service. You are, I'm going to use an example of one of my participants. You are tutoring students in reading. His goal there was to get better at teaching others. He wanted to be a teacher when he was older, so he's like, I want to learn how to teach effectively. Whereas his goal for his physical recreation was to get his black belt in Muay Thai. Which I think was Muay Thai. I don't know. I don't fully remember. That was a while ago. But that's kind of the thing where you can kind of set an individual goal for each of your sections and build up from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Because that sounds interesting. Because I actually volunteer at what was it? The Hamilton Health Services.
Yeah, that would absolutely count.
How that would work.
Yeah, absolutely it would.
Oh, okay. I'll take a look at it then. See.
Yeah, and then it's just doing the other sections. But honestly, like Noah said, anybody who's like at least semi-involved, either in university life or in their communities, it's honestly really realistic to get this done. I know a lot of people, like I was lucky in that my mom made me sign up the day I turned 14, which is as young as you can be to start the Duke of Edinburgh Awards program. So I actually finished the entire award when I was 19. Which was 3 years ago. The reason my award ceremony got delayed because of COVID is because they were waiting on me to sign a form for 3 years and I never did. Don't be like me, kids. But so like you can see for me, I finished all 3 levels in 5 years while being in high school and having health problems. So like it's definitely feasible to do even if you start later. It's not difficult. And I wouldn't say like there's only 2 trips even that I did that I would say was extra in order for me to finish my Duke of Ed. Everything else that I did that counted as Duke of Ed, I was already going to be doing.
What was your gold trip?
My gold trip was when I went dog sledding for 9 days with Choctaw.
I used Moose for mine.
Yeah, that's a good one. Bianca, that's a really good question. So there's no actual time limit other than you have to finish before you turn 25. That's like the absolute end cutoff date. Like you can spend 6 years working on your gold if you want to, as long as you don't turn 25 in that time.
But you have to have started your award for anything to account, which is why if you're interested, it's best to register as soon as you can. And even if you don't end up completing it, just like get yourself registered. That way anything you do after your registration will count. Versus a lot of people find out about it in like their late 20s and they've already done everything. And they're like, oh, I wish I signed up when I was in high school because I would have had it already.
Yeah, high school or early university. Yeah.
So if it's a possibility, it's best to just register. That way, if you do things later on that align with it, they'll count.
It's also a really great way to kind of like start the conversation with different people that you know in terms of like getting references and stuff. So for me, a lot of the references that I have even still on my resume, they first started as an assessor in Duke. So it's basically just like somebody who signs off on the piece of paper, or in this case online. It was super low tech when I started because I'm really old. Because I just asked them to sign off and be my assessor. For me to then ask them to be a reference, it kind of seemed like a natural progression. They didn't really think anything of it. So I definitely recommend it. I think it's an awesome way to kind of get more involved in the community and also get recognition for stuff that you're already doing. Plus, it honestly looks so good on a resume. It looks good on scholarship applications. And it's kind of just like a nice thing to say that you have. I have mine hung up in my room. Yes, so basically the way it works is it kind of depends on the level, Francis. So Francis's question is there a minimum amount of volunteer hours you need? So rather than, they've actually changed this since I've done Duke of Ed, but rather than it being a specific amount, they actually kind of do it as the time period. So technically, like for bronze, for example, bronze is supposed to be 26 weeks. Technically speaking, it's 26 hours because the idea is that you do 1 hour per week for 26 weeks. If that's not the exact distribution, that's okay. There's a maximum of, I think, of 4 hours you can count in 1 week. And you do need to kind of like spread things out over the time span. But other than that, you should be okay. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense. I didn't sleep last night.
Yeah, it does. Another one from me. Do you have to do like your volunteer hours from like the moment you sign up, or can it be like from
No, so like you can like, for example, for me, My gold award, even though I was not direct entry. So without direct entry, gold's supposed to take 52 weeks or 1 year. It took me 2.5 years to finish it because I wasn't doing things necessarily every single week or from the moment I started. I didn't necessarily have my volunteer work, my skill, my physical recreation, and my adventurous journey all happening at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it kind of like, it doesn't need to be right away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I
Uh,
have hours from, like, if I was to start it, like, I have hours before. So, like, do you think that would count?
No, so you can only count things from the moment that you've registered onwards. Anything that happened before you registered, you can't count.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's possible right now because, like, I can't even.
No,
Yeah.
right now it's a bit tricky for service, but one of the really cool things about Duke is because a lot of it is kind of like self-motivated, there's a lot of stuff that you can do when you're at home, right? So I know a lot of people right now who are basically getting all of their physical rec and their skill done, and that way they can go back and do their service and their adventurous journey later when things open back up. So Bianca's asked a question, this semester I'm doing 2 hours over 13 weeks, so would that work? The only thing about 2 hours over 13 weeks is there's also like a minimum you have to maintain, and I don't remember the exact, like you can have spaced out between hours. I just don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, so I would have to look that up for you. I think that might be a little bit too spaced out though. I would have to check for you though.
I think she means 2 hours every week for 13
Oh
weeks.
my God, yes, that would work. Yes, I believe that would count. Thank you. So I was so confused. I was like, how do you only do 2 hours across 13 weeks? Are you working like 10 minutes a day? Like, I don't understand. Sorry, guys. I'm sure I'm dumb sometimes, most of the time. Are there any other questions that I can answer? Oh, also, when you finish Duke, not only do you get a cool certificate, but you also get a two cool pins or a brooch. You can choose between a brooch or a pin, but I think everyone gets a pin. What even is a brooch?
If I signed up like when I was also 14 and then I also expressed interest like in first year, but I haven't really been keeping it up, is that still like if I've been doing things, can I just retroactively do them because I was
Are you registered?
I think.
Absolutely. If you were registered, you can retroactively add them. Yes.
Oh my God, yo, I'm probably good for bronze at this point.
Yeah, you could like definitely finish it. Just go in and start writing. Like to give you an idea, Maddie, the other reason it took me so long to actually like get my gold after I like did it is because it took me a year and a half to write my report.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't do it. And they're like, they still accepted it and everything, and it still had the original date. So like, did you just write this? And I was like, yes, I did. And honestly, I think they're kind of used to that at this point because they're working with teenagers and young adults. So I think they just kind of accepted it.
That's fair. Okay. That's encouraging. I should look into it.
You should.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, but exec can use like exec hours towards volunteering because
absolutely
it's a volunteer position for the department.
Yeah.
So if you're on the exec, you can use that. So you pretty much have done volunteering already if you've been an exec because we meet every week.
Yeah.
And do stuff.
Wow. So exciting.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it is not hard to do, guys. Like, please, it is not hard.
That's sick, actually. Okay.
It's just like the actual writing things down that gets tedious. But my mom did that for me, so I was kind of lucky.
I really tried in high school. I signed up for all these like random things. Like I started doing like yoga class, which was funny because like I did it for like my physical thing, but it's like I literally played on like all the like the high school teams, but I did yoga anyway. And then I signed up for this like tall ship sailing in like Lake Ontario or something for the adventure. I don't even remember what it was, but I signed up for like
wanted to do that.
And then there were like too many things that just went wrong, and I just like quit. I was like, no more. But yeah, I should pick it up again. That could work.
I think it's worthwhile.
Cool.
I would go upstairs to get my certificates, but I'm lazy. I actually also only have my silver one right now because my bronze one was destroyed in a house fire, so they're getting me a new one. Yeah, and then my my kitchen burned down 2 summers ago. Fun fact. I have a new one now, like it's fine, but we had a very bad house fire. And then my gold one I haven't gotten because they give it to you at the ceremony, which is on hold until further notice because of COVID. So
Love that.
yeah, I have all my pins though. I do have all 3 pins.
Well, that's a win.
Yeah, it counts. All right, but yeah, if there's no other questions I can answer, I guess we're pretty much done here.
Cool.
Sorry for some of our discussions getting off topic, but we like to talk.
We do like to talk.
what
Our
happens in
exec
the
meetings are like 5 minutes of work and then like 75 minutes of chatter.
So come join exec.
Exec is so fun.
Exec applications will be opening in February.
Plug.
They will be.
Cool.
And I may or may not be back next year. We'll see.
Ooh. I'll be back
This
for
was
the
really
winter.
enjoyable. Thank you so much for the information.
Thank you for coming, Bianca. We appreciate you.
Yeah, it was always fun to like join you guys.
Aw.
Stay tuned for our future events.
Come out to book club. It's gonna be a really good book. We're learning about how like indigenous knowledge weaves in with Western science, with ecology and things. So it's environmental based and it's really important stuff that people need to understand.
I'm actually very excited for book club.
I'm super pumped. I finished the book last year and I'm like, this has to happen. I'm doing this.
I just need to like get the book.
Yeah, so it's actually on like the library website. So
Yeah, you said. So I'm definitely gonna do that because
it'll be free for us students.
I know you. Oh, I do know you. Sorry.
All right. I'm gonna head out. It's been a blast. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, if nobody
Bye,
has any other
everyone.
questions for us, have a good term and let us know if you do have any questions or suggestions.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.